Oftentimes in our lives, one of the more difficult things to do as we figure out the ways that God is working in us and we're trying to cultivate that is figuring out where we're going to focus. Because we live in a world where there are constantly distractions happening all the time. And we constantly have things vying for our attention and trying to figure out what's a priority. How do I know what is the most important thing? And we feel like we're pulled back and forth all the time when it comes to figuring those things out. I received some really good advice a few years ago. A few years ago, I was going through a really difficult time, and I found myself really stressed. I was dealing with anxiety. I had just kind of lost sight of a lot of different things, and I felt overwhelmed. I was really experiencing burnout. I didn't quite understand it at the time. I had a mentor, a friend of mine, who spoke into my life, and I had given him that opportunity to do that. And so that's always a good thing until that person speaks into your life, and you're like, oh, that was some truth I didn't really want to hear, but I needed to hear it. It was one of those things. And to do that, he used this image of a campfire or a bonfire. Now, when I, am camping or sitting down in someone's backyard if they have a fire pit, or you go to the beach and you sit by a bonfire, it's one of the coolest things. I just love that. I think as people, we're just drawn to that, and maybe it's because we've done that for, years and years and years. People would gather around fires and we sit there and we talk and we tell stories. And if you want a really good time, you get some marshmallows, right? And it's awesome. It's a great thing to do. But he told me that when you build a bonfire or a campfire, there's only so many logs that you can put on that fire. Because eventually, you don't have a bonfire or campfire anymore. If you keep piling it on, you have a wildfire, right? It's just out of control. And just as we prepare that bonfire, campfire with certain logs, the same thing is true for your life. There's only so many things that you can have going on. You could pursue anything, but you can't pursue everything. And if everything in your life is important, then nothing is. And that was really strong advice. And I realized in my life that what I had done is I was just putting a lot of logs on the fire. That was part of the issue. So many things happening. And went through this process of having to prioritize and think through, no, what actually matters? What am I going to say no to in order to say yes to something else?